Welcome to my channel YouTube, Talk Sora.
Hello and welcome back, everyone. We are so happy to see you here on Talk Sora. I'm Emma.
And I'm Jack. It's great to be back in the studio with you, Emma, and all our wonderful listeners.
Smiles. It is wonderful, Jack. On this channel, we help you practice real English, the kind of English native speakers use every single day. We want you to feel confident in any conversation.
That's right. And if you like our videos, if you find our tips, our corrections, and our lively banter helpful, please remember to subscribe and like them. Hit that notification bell.
Yes, doing that helps us a lot. It tells YouTube that our content is valuable, and it helps us reach more students like you. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Now, before we dive into today's exciting topic, I have to ask, Jack, how are you this morning? You look particularly energetic.
Energetic? Oh, I wouldn't exactly use the word energetic, Emma. I would use the word caffeinated and perhaps slightly frazzled.
Frazzled. Listeners, frazzled means feeling exhausted and stressed. Jack, repeat that for the listeners, please.
Frazzled. I am slightly frazzled.
Excellent. Now, why the frazzle? You sound like you had a very eventful morning. Tell us in detail about your morning routine today.
Oh, in detail, you ask? Okay. Well, I must confess, I overslept this morning. I usually set my alarm for 6:30 a.m. because I really like that quiet time before the world wakes up. But last night, I made a massive mistake. I had 3 cups of strong black coffee after dinner.
Oh, Jack, you know caffeine affects your sleep. You should switch to herbal tea, like chamomile.
Chamomile. That's for people who enjoy reading poetry and meditating. Anyway, the result was that I tossed and turned until 3 a.m., When my alarm went off this morning, I instinctively hit the snooze button. Not once, not twice, but 4 times.
4 times. Listeners, we have a common phrase, to hit the snooze button. It means to press the button on your alarm clock that temporarily silences it so you can sleep a little longer.
So, I finally managed to drag myself out of bed at 7:45 a.m., nearly an hour later than planned. Then I rushed to the kitchen to make breakfast. I was making 2 perfect slices of multigrain toast, 2 scrambled eggs with a little bit of pepper, and a tall glass of fresh orange juice.
That sounds like a lovely, balanced breakfast.
It was going to be, but because I was in such a hurry, I set the toaster to the darkest setting, the one I usually use for bagels. I turned my back for literally 30 seconds to grab my massive coffee mug, and when I turned back, the kitchen smelled like a campfire.
Oh no, you burned the toast.
Not just burned, Emma. They were blackened, smoking carbon chips. I had to open all the windows, frantically waving the toast around to clear the smoke, hoping the smoke alarm wouldn't go off. So I ended up eating a sad, plain bowl of cereal, cornflakes, nothing fancy, with cold milk, and drinking my coffee much too fast.
Poor Jack. That is quite the chaotic start. But see, listeners, Jack used so many great phrases. Overslept, tossed and turned, drag myself out of bed, and burn the toast. Try to use I tossed and turned in a sentence about your last difficult night's sleep. Jack, repeat, drag myself out of bed for the audience.
Drag myself out of bed. That's exactly how it felt.
Excellent. Well, I hope your day gets much calmer. Speaking of calmer, happier, and more festive times, today we are talking about a wonderful, universally loved topic.
Perks up. Ah, I know. Are we talking about the best holiday of the year?
We are. Today's conversation is all about how to talk about Christmas Day in English. We will cover everything from classic traditions to the morning routine and the biggest meal of the year.
Fantastic! I have so many stories, particularly about the Christmas tree decorating.
Wonderful. We will jump right into that in our first core conversation. Now that you're fully awake and caffeinated, let's talk about the magic of Christmas. Our first section is about Christmas Eve traditions. Jack, what does your family usually do on Christmas Eve? Walk us through the entire evening, step by step.
Oh, Christmas Eve! That's actually my favorite part of the holiday, even more than Christmas morning. Our family tradition is very specific, and it's quite an event. We start the evening by having a slightly lighter dinner, just chili and cornbread, nothing too heavy, because we know what's coming next, the decorating marathon.
A decorating marathon. I love that phrase, listeners. It means a long, intense period of activity. Jack, use the word marathon to describe another long activity, please.
Well, for Emma, every yoga session is a meditation marathon. For me, preparing for a family dinner often feels like a cleaning marathon.
Very good. Now tell us about the Christmas decorations. Which part takes the longest?
The tree. Always the tree. My father, bless his heart, insists on buying a real, natural pine tree every single year. We spend about an hour getting it positioned just right in the living room, trying to make sure it doesn't tilt. Then comes the tinsel and the lights. Oh, the lights are a nightmare.
Tinsel is the shiny metallic strips we drape over the tree. And why are the lights a nightmare, Jack? Explain the struggle.
Because they're always tangled. We keep them in an old cardboard box in the attic for 11 months, and every year they magically become this gigantic, impossible knot. We spend at least 45 minutes just untangling 5 strings of lights, yelling things like, "Who wrapped these up last year?"
Listeners, to untangle means to separate something that has become twisted or knotted. Jack, say untangle slowly for the audience. Untangle.
Untangle. It's a very painful word.
Now, let's talk about the ornaments, the beautiful decorations we hang on the branches. I heard you had a little incident last year involving a very cherished ornament. Tell us the story.
Yes. The story of the great snowman tragedy of 2024. Every year, my mother insists we hang the angel tree topper first, then the colorful lights, and finally the special ornaments. We have one very old hand-painted glass snowman that belonged to my grandmother. It is truly cherished.
Cherished means valued greatly or held dear. It's a wonderful word to use for something sentimental. Listeners, repeat the word cherished. Now, Jack, can you give us an example of something else you cherish? Perhaps your coffee maker? Teasing.
I cherish my coffee maker, yes, but I also genuinely cherish my old, slightly faded baseball glove from when I was a kid. It brings back great memories.
A lovely example. Now, what happened to the cherished snowman ornament?
Well, I was reaching for the very top branch, you know, the tricky ones that poke you in the eye, to place a sparkly red ball. I didn't see the long string of lights hanging down. I turned quickly, my elbow caught the string, and the string swung right into the small square box containing the cherished snowman.
Oh no, it fell?
It didn't just fall, Emma. It was a dramatic crash. The sound was terrible. That delicate sound of shattering glass. It landed on the wooden floor and broke into at least 10 tiny pieces. It was utterly shattered.
Shattered means broken into many small pieces. Listeners, repeat after Jack. Shattered.
Shattered. My mom was silent for a whole minute. It was the most awkward silence in history. We all just stared at the little pieces of glass. My dad finally broke the silence by saying, "Well, I guess we won't be using that one next year."
Gently. That's a tough memory, but a great story for learning vocabulary. So, to summarize the lesson so far, decorating the tree involves untangling the lights, hanging the tinsel, and placing the cherished ornaments. And sometimes things get shattered.
Exactly. After the decorating is done, we usually watch a classic Christmas movie. My father insists on It's a Wonderful Life. And then we tuck into some freshly baked cookies before bed.
Tuck into is a great phrasal verb meaning to eat food enthusiastically. We've introduced 3 core words here: untangle, cherished, and shattered. Remember these words, listeners. We will review them later. So, after the decorating chaos and the tragic snowman incident on Christmas Eve, we finally arrive at the big day, Christmas morning. This is where our traditions, Jack, always seem to diverge quite significantly.
Diverge? I think my tradition is simply more efficient and logical.
Let's compare. I want you to describe your Christmas morning routine in great detail. What is the very first thing you do when you wake up on Christmas Day?
The moment I open my eyes, I am wide awake. There is no gentle transition. I hit the floor running, literally. I don't even stop to put on a proper robe or slippers. I usually just throw on the first slightly clean hoodie I find and rush down the stairs.
Rush down is a great phrasal verb, listeners, meaning to move quickly downward. Jack, repeat the full phrase for the listeners. I hit the floor running and rush down the stairs.
I hit the floor running and rush down the stairs. Yes! My mission is simple. Get to the living room, assess the presents piled up under the tree, and immediately start tearing the wrapping paper off. The entire process takes maybe 20 minutes total, from waking up to having all the presents unwrapped.
20 minutes? Jack, why the intense speed? Why do you rush the process?
Why not? The anticipation is too much. It's all about the immediate thrill, the surprise. I want to know what I got. Why would I delay the fun?
Why? Because for me, the unwrapping is part of the joy. I believe in savoring the moment. When I wake up, I practice a short 10-minute mindful meditation. Then I put on my thickest, coziest knitted sweater and my favorite fluffy socks. I make a large cup of Earl Grey tea, no coffee, and I sit quietly by the tree.
Scoffs. Sitting quietly? By the time you finished your meditation, your tea, and put on your fluffy socks, I'm already playing with my new gadget.
Exactly. My family and I take turns. We pass the presents around very slowly. Each person opens just one gift at a time, allowing everyone to see, admire, and comment on the gift. This process, the unwrapping, usually takes us a good 2 to 3 hours.
A sound of horror. 2 to 3 hours? That is an endurance test, Emma. I would be bouncing off the walls with impatience.
Listeners, savoring the moment means enjoying something slowly in order to appreciate it completely. Now, let's do a shadowing drill. Jack, I want you to read this sentence slowly and clearly for the listeners. I believe in savoring the moment and unwrapping the presents slowly.
I believe in savoring the moment and unwrapping the presents slowly.
Excellent. Listeners, now your turn. Repeat that sentence, focusing on the pronunciation of savoring and unwrapping. Let's look at the opposite. Jack, read this sentence, which perfectly captures your morning style. I always rush down the stairs to tear the wrapping paper off immediately.
I always rush down the stairs to tear the wrapping paper off immediately.
Good job, Jack. Now, listeners, repeat Jack's sentence. This is a very common, energetic phrase. One final difference. After your 20-minute frenzy, what do you eat?
Oh, well, after the present frenzy, I usually realize I'm starving because I woke up so early with excitement. I usually just have a huge bowl of sugary cereal, something festive like Cinnamon Crunch, and maybe a glass of lukewarm milk.
And I, after my long, mindful unwrapping session, spend time making a proper, leisurely Christmas breakfast. I make homemade cinnamon rolls, some fresh fruit salad with berries, and usually a vegetable frittata.
Leisurely. That word just screams slow and too much effort to me.
Leisurely means done without hurry. It's a wonderful adverb to use when describing slow, enjoyable activities. Let's do one more drill. Jack, repeat this whole description of my breakfast routine. We enjoy a leisurely Christmas breakfast, including cinnamon rolls and a vegetable frittata.
We enjoy a leisurely Christmas breakfast, including cinnamon rolls and a vegetable frittata.
Perfect. Listeners, pay attention to the word leisurely. Use it to describe something you do slowly and for enjoyment.
So, basically, I have a 20-minute explosion of presents and 5 minutes of bad cereal, and you have a 3-hour Zen morning followed by a gourmet meal.
Precisely, and both are perfectly valid ways to celebrate. The key, listeners, is knowing how to describe your routine using this great vocabulary. Now that we've covered the excitement of Christmas morning, we must talk about the climax of the day, the Christmas dinner. This is often the most stressful, but also the most rewarding part of the holiday.
Rewarding? Yes. Stressful? Absolutely. Especially when you're trying to figure out what to cook.
Exactly. To help our listeners practice discussing food and making plans in English, let's do a role play. We will pretend we are two friends, Emma and Jack, organizing the main Christmas meal. I'll start.
Okay, let's do it. I'm ready to argue for my favorite menu items.
So, Jack, we need to finalize the menu for Christmas dinner. I was thinking of keeping it traditional this year.
Traditional? You mean the enormous roast turkey?
Of course, a proper 20-pound turkey is the centerpiece. We need to plan for at least 8 people this year, so it needs to be sizable. What do you think about the turkey specifically?
Well, I have to be honest. I find turkey a little dry. I mean, it's iconic. It's the image of Christmas dinner. But it's so difficult to keep it moist. Last year, we had to pour so much gravy on it just to make it edible.
That's a valid point. Listeners, moist means slightly wet and not dry. It's the highest compliment you can pay to roasted meat. Jack, repeat the word. Moist.
Moist. Yes, we want the turkey to be moist, not a dry piece of cardboard.
So if not turkey, what is your alternative? You need a good centerpiece for a holiday feast.
I was secretly hoping we could switch it up and have a beautiful roast beef joint this year. A nice, rare prime rib, cooked perfectly medium rare. It's so much more flavorful and naturally tender than turkey.
Tender means easy to cut or chew, not tough. Listeners, repeat, tender. Now, Jack, give us a sentence using tender to describe the beef.
The roast beef is always incredibly tender and requires less effort than a massive turkey.
That's a compelling argument. But what about the sides? The side dishes are just as important as the main dish. We need the essentials.
Oh, the sides are non-negotiable. We must have mashed potatoes, creamy, buttery, and lots of them. And then we need the famous Yorkshire puddings.
And what about the vegetables? I always make my honey-glazed carrots and a big bowl of Brussels sprouts roasted with bacon. Do you think we need anything else?
I think those are perfect, Emma. But we cannot forget the stuffing. That is essential for any bird, or even if we have beef. Do you prefer the sage and onion stuffing or the chestnut stuffing?
I prefer the sage and onion stuffing. It's a more pungent and classic flavor. Now, we must also address the condiments. For turkey, you absolutely need cranberry sauce and lots of thick gravy. If we go with the roast beef, we'll need horseradish sauce.
Condiments. Gravy, cranberry sauce, horseradish. These are all condiments.
Exactly. So, let's summarize our choices. We can go for the traditional turkey with stuffing and cranberry sauce, or the tender roast beef with Yorkshire puddings and horseradish sauce.
Let's stick to the turkey, but we must make a huge effort to keep it moist. We will brine it overnight.
A perfect plan, Jack. So, through this little role play, we've learned some fantastic vocabulary for describing the Christmas meal. Traditional turkey, moist, tender roast beef, stuffing, sides, cranberry sauce, and gravy. All essential for talking about food. Welcome back, everyone. This is truly the most important section of our video today. We have covered so much fantastic, practical vocabulary about Christmas. Now, we are going to make sure these 15 key words and phrases are absolutely locked into your long-term memory.
That's right. We are going to review 15 powerful words and phrases that you can use immediately to talk about your own holiday experiences. It is absolutely crucial for improving your fluency. Get ready to listen carefully, repeat after us, and practice.
Let's start with our first word, something from your chaotic morning, Jack. The first phrase is to oversleep.
To oversleep means to sleep past the time you intended to wake up. Essentially, your alarm failed you, or you ignored it repeatedly because you were too tired.
Very good. Here is my example sentence. Listen carefully. I often find that I overslept on the weekends because I forget to set my backup alarm, making me miss my usual peaceful time for meditation.
And here is my example, which is far more realistic. I always try not to oversleep on Christmas morning. Otherwise, my younger, very greedy sister will sneak in and steal all the expensive chocolate from my holiday stocking while I'm still asleep.
Slowly. Listeners, repeat after me. Slowly. Focusing on the two words. To oversleep. Now, normal speed. To oversleep. Next up, a phrase that describes a feeling we discussed when you almost set fire to your kitchen. Frazzled.
Frazzled is a very useful informal adjective that means you are completely exhausted, stressed, and perhaps mentally scattered, often by doing too much at once, like tackling 3 huge shopping lists.
That's a perfect definition. After spending 5 continuous hours at the huge, crowded mall on Christmas Eve, trying to buy 3 very specific last-minute gifts, I felt completely frazzled and needed a strong cup of calming herbal tea.
I felt so frazzled trying to untangle 5 different giant strings of lights that I almost gave up entirely and decided to just wrap the whole tree in a big, messy ball of shimmering tinsel instead.
Slowly. Frazzled. Frazzled. Number 3, from the decorating segment and your least favorite activity, to untangle.
To untangle means to straighten something that has become twisted, knotted, or inextricably tangled. We use it for string, hair, or problems.
Every single year, without fail, my main holiday chore is to painstakingly untangle the Christmas lights, which honestly seems like a truly impossible and ancient task handed down through generations.
The extremely thick, itchy red yarn I was using to knit a terrible Christmas sweater for my mother became so hopelessly knotted that I spent 90 agonizing minutes trying to untangle it, but tragically, I failed and threw the whole thing out.
Slowly. To untangle. To untangle. Next, a word we use for things we value deeply.
Cherished is a beautiful adjective, meaning valued greatly, held dear, or extremely precious. It's primarily used for sentimental objects or memories.
That old, faded photograph of my family decorating the tree when I was 5 years old is, without question, my most cherished Christmas possession, even more than any diamond necklace.
I don't have many expensive, fancy things, but my most cherished gift is the silly, oversized, reindeer-shaped coffee mug my sweet niece gave me when she was only 4 years old.
Slowly. Cherished. Cherished. Word number 5. The sad result of your mishap. Shattered.
Shattered means broken suddenly and explosively into many tiny, sharp pieces. We can use it literally for glass or figuratively for feelings.
When the wind suddenly blew the front door violently open, the glass vase containing the fresh holiday flowers fell over and immediately shattered all over the polished wooden floor.
When my mother saw that I had accidentally broken the cherished snowman ornament, she looked so incredibly disappointed that my heart almost metaphorically shattered right there in the living room.
Slowly. Shattered. Moving to Christmas morning phrases. Number 6. To hit the floor running.
This is a great, energetic idiom. To hit the floor running means to start working or being active immediately upon waking up or at the start of a new project with great energy and speed.
On Christmas Day, I try to wake up very calmly and peacefully, but my younger sister always hits the floor running because she is so intensely excited to see if Santa came down the chimney.
I definitely hit the floor running this morning because I smelled smoke, and then I immediately rushed down the stairs to attack the mountain of presents instead of saving the toast.
Slowly repeat the full, one full phrase. To hit the floor running. To hit the floor running. Next, a handy phrasal verb. Number 7, to rush down.
To rush down is a very simple phrasal verb, meaning to hurry or move quickly downwards, usually from an upstairs room, like heading down to the kitchen or living room.
The noisy children always rush down the stairs on Christmas morning, making a huge amount of noise and almost tripping over the family dog in their haste.
I had to rush down to the kitchen this morning after hitting the snooze button too many times. Otherwise, I would have missed my turn in the bathroom queue and been late for work.
Slowly. Repeat. Down. To rush down. Number 8. To savor the moment.
To savor the moment means to enjoy something slowly and deliberately in order to appreciate it completely, often used for food or especially special experiences.
Instead of rushing through the entire dinner, we decided to try and savor the moment, laughing with family, telling long stories, and discussing the gifts we had received in great detail.
I would truly love to savor the moment, but if I take too long, my greedy brother will probably sneak in and steal the last remaining perfectly creamy scoop of mashed potatoes.
Slowly. To savor the moment. To savor the moment. Next, a wonderful adjective to describe my lifestyle, leisurely.
Leisurely means done without hurry, at one's ease, often describing an enjoyable activity done at a comfortable, slow pace, usually without pressure.
We all enjoyed a wonderfully long, leisurely walk after the massive Christmas dinner to try and make some much-needed room for all 3 types of dessert that followed.
My absolute ideal activity on Christmas afternoon is definitely a leisurely 2-hour nap on the sofa, maybe with a small fuzzy blanket and no interruption whatsoever.
Slowly. Leisurely. Leisurely. Now for the food words. Number 10. Tender.
Tender is an adjective meaning easy to cut, chew, or bite, not tough. It's what you absolutely want your roasted meat to be for a fancy meal.
The highly skilled chef had cooked the huge roast beef joint perfectly. It was so incredibly tender that you could cut it with a simple fork.
I love when my mother makes slow-cooked pulled pork. After 8 hours in the oven, it is incredibly tender and just falls apart with a little touch.
Slowly. Tender. Number 11.
Moist means slightly wet and not dry. It's the incredibly difficult goal when you are roasting a massive, notoriously dry turkey.
My secret to keeping my famous Christmas cake moist and flavorful is adding a touch of smooth applesauce or even some brandy to the batter before baking it.
Every single cook in the world struggles desperately to keep the massive Christmas turkey moist, which is precisely why we need so much thick, rich, hot gravy.
Slowly. Moist. Stuffing.
Stuffing is the delicious, savory mixture of bread, herbs, spices, and sometimes meat or fruit that is used to fill a turkey or other bird before cooking.
I prefer my stuffing to be a traditional sage and onion flavor, but my husband adamantly insists on using a more modern cranberry and walnut recipe every year.
I only agree to eat turkey because the stuffing inside it is so ridiculously delicious. I could probably just eat a gigantic bowl of the savory stuffing and be completely happy.
Slowly. Stuffing. Stuffing. Number 13. Gravy.
Gravy is the glorious sauce, usually made from the fat, juices, and seasoning of cooked meat that is poured generously over the meat and vegetables.
Make sure you put plenty of piping hot gravy on your mashed potatoes. It adds so much richness and flavor to the entire plate and ties the meal together.
I have a very strange and specific habit to be completely covered in a thick, flowing layer of gravy before I even take the very first bite.
Slowly. Gravy. The perfect tangy accompaniment to turkey. Number 14. Cranberry sauce.
Cranberry sauce is the tangy, often sweet red sauce typically made from cranberries, which is traditionally and essentially served with roast turkey.
You absolutely need a small spoonful of bright red cranberry sauce next to your turkey to cut through the heavy richness of the meat and the potatoes.
Last year, I foolishly tried to make homemade cranberry sauce, but it ended up tasting more like bitter, chunky fruit jam, so we quickly ran out and bought a can instead.
Slowly. Cranberry sauce. Normal speed. Cranberry sauce. And finally, a general term for the meal. Number 15. Holiday feast.
A holiday feast is a large, extravagant, elaborate, and celebratory meal, often involving many, many courses and dishes, eaten during a major festival or holiday.
The entire extended family gathers together for 5 hours to enjoy the enormous, beautiful holiday feast, which usually features at least 3 different types of delicious pie for dessert.
I always, without fail, eat far too much food during the glorious holiday feast and then have to take that aforementioned, incredibly necessary leisurely nap on the sofa immediately afterwards.
Slowly. Feast. Holiday feast. And that brings us to the end of our in-depth practice session on discussing Christmas Day. We really covered the entire holiday, from the frantic decorating on Christmas Eve to the glorious, tension-filled Christmas dinner.
It was a true holiday feast of vocabulary. We talked about the dangers of oversleeping and feeling frazzled after a long night of trying to untangle lights.
We certainly did. And remember, listeners, the goal is not just to know these words, but to use them. Try to describe your own traditions. Do you rush down the stairs, or do you prefer to savor the moment and enjoy a leisurely breakfast?
And when you talk about the food, make sure you know the difference between a tender piece of meat and a moist piece of meat. And don't forget the essential sides, the stuffing and the cranberry sauce.
Exactly. We hope this conversation has given you the tools to talk confidently about your favorite traditions and memories, which brings us to our final segment, the question of the day.
I love this part. It's your chance to practice writing or speaking English.
Our question for you today is, what is your favorite Christmas memory and why? We want you to think about the emotions, the people, and the details that made that memory special.
That's a great question, Emma. I think I'll start by giving the listeners a sample answer, just to show them how to use some of the new vocabulary.
Please do, Jack. Use the words we practiced today.
Okay, here we go. My favorite Christmas memory is from when I was 12. My whole family was together, and after we finally managed to untangle all the lights, we settled down for the night. I woke up really early. I overslept the alarm, but not by much, and I went down and sat by the tree alone.
That's a lovely start, a very reflective moment.
I didn't rush down to open the presents. I just sat there in the quiet and tried to savor the moment. I remember looking at my one cherished ornament, the small wooden reindeer, and feeling completely at peace before the craziness started. It was such a tender and quiet moment.
That is a wonderful, detailed answer, Jack. Thank you for sharing. Listeners, please write your answer to the question, What is your favorite Christmas memory and why in the comments below.
We read every single one of your comments. Your practice matters.
And if you enjoyed this long-form conversation practice, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Talk Sora for more real, natural English dialogue.
We will see you next time. Keep practicing.
Goodbye, everyone.